I mean, if you want to see a girl f*** a car, 16 minutes, that's all it takes. Drive-by movies you're watching.
Fresh releases.
My name is Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking about the film Titane.
Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
Titane was the winner of the Palme d'Or at Cannes this year, and it follows a series of unexplained crimes and a father who is reunited with the son that has been missing for 10 years. This movie has definitely been talked about a lot, I'd say. I remember the first time I heard about it winning was a tweet where like, wow, a movie where a girl gets impregnated in a car really just won the Palme d'Or. I think that tweet went viral, and here we are talking about it. The director, Julia, sorry if I pronounce her name incorrectly, but Ducournau, she previously did Raw, which a movie I enjoyed. It's not a movie I ever felt the need to watch again, I'd say, but I did enjoy it for what it was, like being just an interesting, bizarre take on like a horror film and like, you know, a movie that's never been done in a cannibalistic like story, I'd say, whatsoever. So definitely another original heavy hitter here. Blaze, what'd you think of Titane?
I mean, I think you honestly are probably asking me premature here. I still don't even know if I liked this film or hated it. And I mean, some people like to say if you hated a movie, that might mean that it's possibly good. Like if a movie is divisive, like between different people, that might mean that it's at least worth talking about. If this film is so divisive within myself, though, what does that mean? Have you ever thought about it? Yeah. Like I kind of like, there's aspects I really like. I actually hated this movie after I finished it, and I think as I've like processed it throughout the day, I actually enjoy it more. I still don't feel like it's. I don't know. I feel like we're not really adding anything to the conversation where there's so many people like either have already said things about this movie, and I feel like they've almost like overhyped it in a way. Like I will say I feel like I was left down in aspects of this movie. There's a lot of aspects I really liked, a lot of aspects I disliked about the film. But anyways, how did you feel about the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, you have to overlook the whole car scenario thing, just because that part is still something that I don't necessarily understand, whether someone's done a crazy long video essay on what they think it's about, or if the director of the film has come right out saying like, this is what it's supposed to be like a metaphor for, or anything like that. This is what it's supposed to symbolize. I don't know if that stuff exists. I just interpreted it as just like, just a interesting weird sci-fi horror take, but like counting out those things, I think you have a really strong movie for the most part. Like I love the serial killer aspect, and then that being like, you know, your first like 25 minutes and stuff, and the movie's very well paced. I think it's just a little over 90 minutes, but it's definitely under 2 hours. But like I like that it slows down drastically towards the like, you know, later half of the movie when she gets reunited with her father. I mean, technically he thinks it's his son, but like that is where the movie starts to slow down. But I really appreciate the performances, the musical aspect, the cinematography as well. There's some great stuff in the first half too, but just the movie definitely takes like a little bit of a 180 as it starts to slow down drastically compared to like the crazy kills that we're seeing early on, as well as the graphic car sex scene as well too.
I mean, if you want to see a girl fuck a car, 16 minutes, that's all it takes. All right, that's gonna be the beginning of the of the video. But anyways, yeah, I feel like that sounds probably a lot more graphic than it is. The actual act is like very, very tame compared to other parts of this movie are extremely graphic, where I had to honestly look away at times. The actual act in which everyone mentions about this film is probably like one of the most tame moments in this movie, because it's literally just a car that you could find in East LA, like a lowrider just jumping up and down, and then a girl inside of that lowrider, she happens to be riding the back seat. That's about it. Like honestly, if you took that out of context and even took the sound out, it might not even be what it's portraying to be.
She could just be really strong and just making the car jump, technically. Yeah.
Need to re-edit that clip to be something else. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was like, everyone's kind of been like hedging their bets on that, because it is the most absolutely insane thing that you've seen in cinema in 2021, or maybe even the last. I wouldn't say that act is the most insane thing. The movie overall, like having that in it is just pretty crazy. Like, it's so wild. It reminds me of something like Rubber, which is also another French movie. So a lot of crazy stuff obviously coming out of France, but this isn't the craziest thing I've seen by any means. I thought a lot of the violence in this movie was way more crazy than the actual act of, this woman getting basically impregnated by a car, which still I'm trying to wrap my head around. That's probably my least favorite aspect of the movie. I think, though, that this movie as a whole was sadly one of those movies that probably would have, it could go either way. I think it's one of those movies that could have been better in theaters, but also could have been way worse in theaters given the particular audience in which you watched it with. I could see if you watch this with a specific like art house audience, that could make this film extremely annoying. But I think if you watch it with an average like audience, that would be like have normal human reactions, not trying to impress everyone in the theater with what they are laughing at, I think that it would be an enjoyable movie. But yeah, I feel like this could attract that specific audience that would absolutely ruin the movie for you.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know how to experience this movie and stuff, just because I watched it by myself. We both rented the movie. But like, it's a movie that I want almost everyone to see, but I can't necessarily recommend it though. I guess you could say, because yeah, like, of course, definitely what sticks out is the violence. Like, I didn't know that I was going into like kind of a horror film. Like, I knew that this movie was going to be a trip from like just what I heard about it and stuff, but I didn't know how like crazy was going to get into the gore factor with the kills and stuff. And yeah, like you were saying, the most graphic scene I'd say is like, during one of the sex scenes when she's biting on the piercing. Like, I was like, oh my god, that nipple's being pulled so hard right now and stuff. Like, it stretches so far and everything. Like, that part like made me cringe and stuff versus like any of the car stuff. But like, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Like, and I'm actually like hope that people can comment letting us know what their interpretation is. I don't really want to ruin it by looking up crazy video essays of people who like to do that stuff. I just enjoyed it for the most part though. Like, I don't like you said, like, I'm still not sure how it was something I was thinking about. I was like, all right, I enjoyed it for its visuals and story, but like, I don't know if I liked it, but it grew on me over like 2 days after watching it. I'd say it's actually one of my favorites of the year, which sounds crazy, but like not like high up on the list, but just like it's definitely a movie I'm going to remember for a while. And like I really enjoyed the documentary like from a decade ago called The Imposter, and I liked that this story kind of was like similar, which is like it's like such a story. It's a story that we've heard about like in real life scenarios where people pretend to be someone who's been missing for years and stuff, and like seeing it in a narrative movie like this though, I thought it like worked pretty well and like worked in its favor.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That was a film that was brought to my like mind too, that I thought of. It's just the idea that basically this it's a documentary film called The Imposter. I wouldn't say it was like my favorite movie, but I will say the story in which the movie is about was highly interesting, and I thought that was really well done. The film itself I thought was just all right as a documentary, but the story itself I thought was really entertaining, about this guy who basically says that he's this lost missing boy from like 10 or 20 years ago, and now he's grown up, but he literally looks nothing like the kid, but the family still accepts him in, like, yeah, it's our son, oh, we're so happy to see our son. But basically they kind of get to the fact that maybe something happened to this kid, like foul play happened, so they were just accepting the fact that this guy, like, it would have been too weird to say that it wasn't their son, because they probably had something to do with the disappearance of their son, which I don't feel like was really the case in this movie. But what I liked about this movie was just the sense, like, for me, this movie's about basically finding family in the most unlikely of places, whether it's the girl who's basically having to come to terms with she's leaking motor oil because of her basically she's been impregnated by this car, but at the same time you have this guy who's not related to her at all, but it has this weird kind of like is it like love or is it familial love? Like it's so weird, but it is something that I did like, the aspect of like finding family in the most unlikely of places. And that was really the theme that like I enjoyed about this movie. But there were like things from here to there that I didn't particularly love about the movie. A lot of the body horror stuff is really effective and very unsettling. So I can't really knock it, I guess, you know, like it does its job. But I do feel like this film is almost too many different things happening at once. A lot of the comedy, when it's there, it's actually freaking hilarious, but it's very dark. But then it still doesn't really balance. I don't know. This movie feels kind of like a mess, but I'm okay with it. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, this movie's like a mess, exactly like the family that's so messed up that becomes a family. I guess it's on brand, I guess you could say.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really like I feel like I can comment on. I mean, spoiler wise, like I think we already spoiled it by just talking about that tweet from earlier, because that's pretty much how the movie ends. You're just expecting that moment, and then you know the movie just ends right there. But I liked that it did come full circle, like with the father, and then you know having a newborn son, despite it being like the son of a murderer, and you know got spikes on their spine for whatever reason. You know, like it was definitely an interesting concept, and yeah, like it's a little too bold for my liking, I'd say, but I still enjoyed it like thoroughly, and it's a movie that I'm probably gonna want to revisit sometime, maybe after a few drinks or maybe after a couple of hits from you know that stuff that's legal in California. But yeah. Yeah, where I'm based out of.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I can't recommend it at the same time, but if you're so bold to be willing to try this movie out, to take it for a spin, you might like it. You might absolutely hate it. I myself, still on the fence. But maybe next week I'll change my mind. We'll see. Yeah,
that'll be the caption of this video. You won't like this movie, but we want you to see it. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So like, please leave a comment letting us know what you thought about it. It's a great way to help support the show. Also, be sure to check out the movie through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below, and tell us what you thought about it after doing so.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell for all of our latest videos.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to check us out in our description box below for our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok links. And yeah, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of Fresh Releases.